everyone, thank you for joining us for our discussion on the topic of ye shall be as gods that is found in the book of Genesis. And so there is significant esotericism in the book of Genesis that is not readily addressed in most discussions of the book of Genesis. We're going to be looking at this statement, ye shall be as gods, and what is surrounding that with respect to this idea of the opening of the eyes. We discussed a little bit about this in the discussion about Adam and Eve not being cursed. We're going to look very specifically at this construct of the eye opening, because on the surface and the way it's generally presented, for instance, in a sermon, is that their eyes literally were opened. And so the two eyes, the front of the face there, that they were opened and then they could suddenly see. But when you deconstruct these passages, you see that something else completely different is going on there. You see embedded in there this construct of the opening of the eyes, but then when you look at the totality of it, you see that this is a significant esoteric dynamic going on, and we're just going to analyze that very quickly. What we are looking at is Genesis. We are looking at the 3rd chapter, and we're starting at the 5th verse. And it starts, "For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil." It goes on in number 6 to indicate, "And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat." It goes on to indicate in 7, "And the eyes of them both were opened." And so you see the eyes mentioned in 5, 6, and 7. However, the eyes that are discussed are not the same eyes. And here you can see this word Ayin is translating from the Hebrew into the English. It is the 16th letter of the Hebrew alphabet. What's noteworthy about this is that when it's translating, it's not translating from a plural form, it's translating from the singular. And so Ayin meaning an eye. And as you can see from the etymology, it literally means an eye. And here you can see it in the context of the Hebrew alphabet. And sometimes when you are reading and analyzing scripture, what you will find is that many of the words, even though they are understood as coming out of the Hebrew, many of the words are actually coming from other languages. And so you see examples of this with respect to this Ayin. And this is an additional discussion about this construct of the eyes in this text, the ancient languages of Mesopotamia, Egypt, and Axum. And here, when you look in Strong's Concordance, you find this confirmation for what is found in the Webster reference. And so again, you see here Ayin at 5869. It goes on to 5870. But what you see here is that it literally means an eye, not eyes, but an eye. It's also noteworthy that it's indicated that the word origin is of an uncertain derivation. And here are additional references tying this particular word, this construct, to other languages, specifically Assyrian. Now we're going to see specifically what is being referenced with respect to eyes in Genesis 3, 5 through 7. And so what you see here specifically for Genesis 3, 5, and then you see comma 7. So 6 is not included here. And so it indicates here that it's referring to this idea of new power of vision. And so this isn't simply about opening one's eyes, the physical eyes. This is about something else. Some individuals might refer to this as yet another eye. Now we're going to contrast that with Genesis 3:6. And so in Genesis 3:6, where it's discussing Eve understanding that the tree is good for food and it's good to make one wise, and also that it's pleasing to the eyes. In this instance, it's talking about the literal physical organ of the eye. However, the 5 and the 7 are not referencing the physical organ known as the eye. And so when contrasting Genesis 3:5 and 7 with Genesis 3:6, you have one instance, that's 3:6, of referring to the eyes and meaning the physical eyes. But in that Genesis 3:5 and 7, the reference is to mental and spiritual faculties. And so the eyes that were opened, that resulted in this construct of being as gods, those eyes that were opened were mental and spiritual faculties versus actual physical eyes. And so as we wrap this up, we see that there is this surface discussion about these physical eyes and the physical eyes being opened. But when you go beyond the surface, you see that there's a little bit more going on here. You see this very esoteric narrative about Adam and Eve and these eyes. And in this instance, you're basically referring to two distinct eyes. And so not the eyes of each person, but an eye and an eye. And so what you also see is this very unusual tree, this very unusual fruit. And when Adam and Eve consume the fruit from the tree, they acquire these significant mental and spiritual faculties such that they are now seen, according to the narrative, as gods. It's not clear what the specific mental and spiritual faculties are, but again, these are apparently very significant mental and spiritual faculties because now Adam and Eve are positioned as sort of demigods, as deities. Remember, knowledge is power. Take care. See you soon.